Seniors, you have been sold a modern health promise that is quietly backfiring. You've heard the slogans, Chia seeds are the ultimate insurance policy for your heart, your blood sugar, and your digestion. Following this advice, you stir them into your water or yogurt with religious devotion. Yet in my clinic, I see a recurring paradox. Patients over 60 arrive battling persistent bloating, systemic fatigue, and a frightening reality where their life-saving medications no longer work with predictable efficiency. The problem isn't the seed. The problem is that you are treating this high-potency biological tool as a mindless health hack. For a body in its sixth or seventh decade, chia seeds are not a neutral additive. They are a high-absorption biological sponge. If mismanaged, they trigger a cascade of internal dehydration and nutrient malabsorption that your system can no longer easily correct. You are applying a one-size-fits-all trend to a digestive architecture that has fundamentally different requirements for hydration and enzyme processing than it did 30 years ago. I am Dr. Jonathan Reid. Today, we are deconstructing the 7 critical mistakes you are making with chia seeds, counting down to the number one fallacy, a preparation error that is silently turning your superfood into a source of chronic gut fermentation. If you are ready to stop following generic slogans and start mastering your actual biological requirements, subscribe to this channel now. Let's look at the hard science behind the seed. Mistake number 7, the frequency fallacy, fiber overload. Seniors, we begin with a mistake born of good intentions, using chia seeds too frequently throughout your daily routine. Because you've been told for years that fiber is the holy grail of longevity and heart health. Many of you have started incorporating these seeds into every possible intake, stirring them into your morning oats, sprinkling them over your lunch salads, and even adding them to your evening tea. But from a clinical physiological standpoint, you are inducing a state of nutritional traffic stagnation. As you cross the age of 60, your digestive motility, the muscular contractions that move food through your system, naturally and inevitably slows down. Your gut requires significantly more time in very specific conditions to process complex mucilaginous fibers. When you flood your system with chia seeds multiple times a day, you aren't cleaning your arteries or your colon. You are creating a mechanical blockage in your small intestine. In my practice, I call this fiber-induced stasis. Instead of assisting your digestion, the sheer cumulative volume of chia creates a dense, viscous mass that your slowing peristalsis simply cannot move efficiently. This leads to that familiar, heavy feeling of lower abdominal discomfort and unexplained bloating that many of you mistakenly attribute to just getting older. You aren't aging, you are overloading. You must treat chia seeds as a high-potency targeted supplement, not a staple food item. For a senior metabolism, your body responds far better to a single, controlled and well-timed dose than to the constant environmental stress of a fiber-saturated diet. If you do not respect the reduced processing speed of your aging gut, you are turning a world-class digestive aid into a chronic digestive burden. Stop sacrificing your internal comfort for the sake of a superfood trend. Prioritize efficiency over volume, or your digestive tract will pay the price in systemic inflammation. This is about precision intake. Mistake number 6, the dehydration deficit, the internal fluid drain. Seniors, this is a physiological error that can have immediate and severe consequences for your systemic health. Consuming chia seeds without a massive proportional increase in your water intake. You've been told that chia seeds are hydrating because they can hold 10 times their weight in liquid. However, from a clinical standpoint, if those seeds haven't already fully expanded before they enter your body, they don't provide hydration, they steal it. In my practice, I call this the internal fluid heist. As you age, your body's total water content naturally decreases, and your thirst mechanism, the signal that tells your brain you need fluid, becomes significantly less reliable. When you ingest chia seeds, they act as a high-absorption biological sponge. If they aren't fully saturated, they will aggressively extract moisture from your intestinal lining and your bloodstream to reach their maximum volume. For a senior, this doesn't just lead to dryness, it leads to acute intestinal desiccation. The clinical outcome is a sudden and painful onset of chronic constipation. The seeds create a dense, cement-like gel in your colon that your slowing digestive muscles simply cannot move. But the damage goes deeper than your gut. By pulling water away from your systemic circulation, you're inducing a state of subclinical dehydration that leads to increased blood viscosity, mid-afternoon dizziness, and unnecessary strain on your kidneys. You think you are adding healthy fiber, but you are actually inducing a hydration crisis. If you are going to use chia seeds, you must double your baseline water consumption for the day. You cannot treat them like a standard flaxseed or a grain. You must treat them as a hydration-dependent input. If you aren't prepared to drink an extra 16 ounces of water for every tablespoon of chia, you are better off avoiding them entirely. Your aging system is already fighting to maintain fluid balance. Do not give it a reason to fail. This is about fluid resource management, not just eating more fiber. Stay hydrated, or your cells will pay the price for the seed's expansion. Mistake number 5, the dry consumption hazard, the mechanical obstruction. Seniors, this is a mistake of convenient snacking that carries a direct physical risk to your safety. Eating chia seeds in their dry, unsoaked state. You might sprinkle them over a piece of peanut butter toast or toss a spoonful into a dry cereal mix for a quick crunch. But from a clinical perspective, you are introducing a high-expansion solid into a narrow and aging esophagus. In my practice, I classify this as a mechanical ingestion failure. As you cross the age of 60, the muscles involved in swallowing, a process called deglutition, often lose their youthful coordination. At the same time, your production of saliva, which contains the essential lubricants and enzymes for the first stage of digestion, naturally declines. When you ingest dry chia seeds, they don't stay dry for long. The moment they come into contact with the moisture in your throat, they begin their rapid expansion. Because they haven't been prehydrated, they can form a sticky, gelatinous mass in the esophagus before they even reach your stomach. This isn't just a minor discomfort. It is a legitimate choking and obstruction risk. I have seen cases where seniors experience dysphagia, a total inability to swallow, because dry chia seeds expanded and lodged in the esophageal passage. Furthermore, once they reach the stomach in a dry state, they continue to pull moisture from your gastric lining, causing immediate sharp cramping and intense pressure. You must accept one clinical rule. Chia seeds are never a topping. They are an ingredient that must be fully processed before it enters your mouth. If you are looking for a crunch, use toasted pumpkin seeds or walnuts. If you are using chia, it must be in a fully hydrated, gel-like state. Your throat is no longer a high-speed transit tube. It is a delicate, aging gateway that requires respect. Do not risk a mechanical emergency for the sake of a quick sprinkle. This is about airway and esophageal integrity. Mistake number 4, the insufficient soak, the enzyme inhibition. Seniors, this is a mistake of impatience that directly undermines your gut health. Consuming chia seeds that have only been soaked for a minute or two. You've been told that as soon as the water turns slightly cloudy, the seeds are ready. But from a clinical biochemical standpoint, you are ingesting a bioavailable barrier. You are eating a seed that is still in its defensive state, loaded with anti-nutrients that your aging digestive tract is ill-equipped to neutralize. Every chia seed is protected by phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors, natural compounds designed to prevent the seed from sprouting until the conditions are perfect. When you eat half-soaked chia, these inhibitors remain active. Once inside your system, they don't just sit there. They bind to essential minerals like calcium, magnesium, and zinc, preventing your body from absorbing them. In my practice, I call this nutrient sequestration. For a senior already concerned about bone density and immune function, you are effectively robbing your body of the very minerals it needs to stay resilient. Furthermore, if the mucilaginous gel hasn't fully formed, a process that takes a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes, the seed remains physically abrasive to your intestinal lining. For a 60-year-old gut, which often has thinner mucosal protection, this can lead to mechanical irritation and chronic low-grade inflammation. You think you are eating a superfood, but your immune system is treating those hard, unformed seeds as a foreign irritant. I tell my patients, respect the gel. You must wait until the chia has transformed into a fully suspended, translucent matrix. This isn't just about texture. It is about deactivating the seed's chemical defenses. By giving the seeds those extra 10 minutes, you are converting them from a nutrient blocker into a nutrient carrier. Stop rushing your biology. If you don't have 10 minutes to wait, you don't have the time to eat chia seeds safely. This is about bioavailability optimization. Mistake number 3, the meal replacement trap, the protein deficit. Seniors, this is a dangerous psychological error, often fueled by the weight loss industry. Replacing a complete meal with a large bowl of chia pudding. Because chia seeds expand and create a physical feeling of fullness, many of you believe you found the ultimate low-calorie lunch or dinner. But as a specialist in geriatric muscle preservation, I must warn you, you are inducing a state of anabolic starvation. As you cross the age of 60, your body enters a phase of sarcopenia, the natural accelerated loss of muscle mass. To fight this, your system requires high-quality, complete protein at every single meal to trigger muscle protein synthesis. While chia seeds contain some amino acids, they are not a complete protein source in the quantities you are consuming. When you replace a balanced meal with just chia, you are giving your stomach bulk, but giving your muscles nothing. In my practice, I see seniors who are losing weight on a chia-heavy diet. But when we perform a body composition analysis, we find they aren't losing fat. They are losing functional muscle tissue. They feel full, but they are becoming increasingly frail. You are effectively tricking your brain into thinking you are fed while your muscles are literally wasting away from a lack of branched-chain amino acids. You must stop viewing chia as a meal. It is a functional garnish. It belongs in a high-protein Greek yogurt or alongside a piece of wild-caught salmon. It should never be the main event. If you continue to substitute real dense nutrition with the illusory fullness of chia gel, you are trading your long-term mobility for a short-term calorie deficit. Reclaim your strength by prioritizing structural nutrition over digestive bulk. This is about sarcopenia prevention. Mistake number 2, the medication interference, the clinical absorption barrier. Seniors, we have reached the most dangerous clinical error on this list. A mistake that doesn't just affect your digestion, but could potentially render your most essential prescriptions useless. Consuming chia seeds in close proximity to your daily medications. Whether you are taking blood thinners, blood pressure medication, or thyroid hormones, the unique physical properties of chia seeds can create a pharmacological blockade within your gut. As a specialist in senior health, I must emphasize the mucoadhesive nature of the chia gel. When those seeds expand, they create a thick, viscous barrier that coats the lining of your small intestine. While this is excellent for slowing down sugar absorption, it is disastrous for the absorption of precisely dosed medications. In my practice, I call this gel-induced malabsorption. If you swallow your pills alongside a bowl of chia, those medications can become trapped within the fiber matrix, delayed in their transit, or prevented from ever reaching your bloodstream in the required concentration. For a senior managing hypertension or cardiovascular risk, this lack of predictability is a high-risk variable. You might think your medication is failing or that you need a higher dose, when in reality your superfood is simply preventing the drug from doing its job. Furthermore, because chia seeds are naturally rich in omega-3 fatty acids and fiber, they have a mild systemic effect on blood pressure and blood thinning. When combined with prescription medications like warfarin or lisinopril without clinical supervision, you can induce an additive effect, causing your blood pressure or blood thickness to drop to unsafe, unpredictable levels. You must implement a 3-hour safety buffer. To protect the integrity of your medical treatment, you should never consume chia seeds within 3 hours of taking your essential medications. You need to allow your system to process the chemistry of your prescriptions before you introduce the physical barrier of the chia gel. Do not let your quest for natural health sabotage the clinical interventions keeping you alive. This is about pharmaceutical integrity and ensuring that your body receives the exact dosage your doctor intended. Respect the buffer, or you are gambling with your systemic stability. Mistake number 1, the overnight fermentation trap, the microbial disruptor. Seniors, we have arrived at the single most deceptive preparation error in modern nutrition, a practice that is marketed as a time saver, but is clinically functioning as a digestive irritant. It is the habit of soaking your chia seeds overnight in the refrigerator, or worse, on the counter. You have been told that the longer they soak, the better they are, under the assumption that you are simply maximizing hydration. But as a specialist in geriatric gut health, I must deliver a belief collapse. After the age of 60, consuming aged chia gel is an invitation for systemic gastrointestinal conflict. The clinical reality is that chia seeds are raw agricultural products heavily colonized by natural environmental yeasts and bacteria. When you submerge these seeds in liquid and leave them for 8 to 12 hours, you aren't just hydrating them. You are initiating a state of uncontrolled microfermentation. In a youthful gut, this might pass unnoticed. But as you age, your gastric acid barrier weakens and your microbiome becomes significantly more sensitive to the metabolic byproducts of fermentation, specifically gases and organic acids. In my practice, I consult with thousands of seniors who suffer from chronic, painful bloating and unexplained abdominal distension every morning. They believe they are doing something good for their gut, but they are actually introducing a colony of rapidly multiplying bacteria into an aging digestive tract that no longer possesses the enzymatic fire to manage them. You aren't experiencing healthy fiber action, you are experiencing pathogenic gas production. By the time you eat those convenient overnight oats or puddings, the structural integrity of the gel has shifted, and the mixture has become a breeding ground for subclinical gut irritation. I tell my patients, the 15-minute protocol is the clinical gold standard. You do not need 12 hours to activate a chia seed. 10 to 15 minutes is the exact biological window required for the mucilaginous gel to form and the phytic acid to neutralize, without allowing for bacterial overgrowth or fermentation. Stop treating your breakfast like a science experiment that sits in the back of your fridge for days. If you want the anti-inflammatory benefits of chia, you must consume them freshly hydrated. By shortening your soak time, you ensure that the seeds are a tool for nutrient absorption rather than a source of internal fermentation. Reclaim your digestive comfort by respecting the clock. Freshness isn't just a preference. For a senior, it is a clinical necessity. After deconstructing these 7 clinical errors, you may be looking at that bag of chia seeds in your pantry with a newfound sense of caution. For years, the wellness industry has lulled you into a state of nutritional complacency, convincing you that natural always equals safe, regardless of the volume or the timing. But as a specialist in senior physiology, I must deliver a final, necessary truth. A superfood is only super if your body can actually process the input. Today's protocol was not about demonizing a seed, it was about biological precision. When you commit to these clinical shifts, from the 15-minute soak to the 3-hour medication buffer and the rejection of the overnight fermentation trap, you are no longer just adding fiber. You are performing a precise internal intervention. You are signaling to your aging digestive tract and your circulatory system that you respect their shifting boundaries. You are choosing to stop the silent hydration theft and the mechanical irritation that leads to chronic inflammation and systemic fatigue. The stakes are higher than you think. Every year you spend following one-size-fits-all health trends is a year your body spends in a state of unnecessary physiological friction. This is the invisible driver of the aging symptoms society tells you are inevitable: the brain fog, the digestive heaviness, and the metabolic sluggishness. By mastering these small, clinical adjustments, you are protecting your biological sovereignty and reclaiming the vitality that keeps you mobile and independent. My mission is to move you away from marketing folklore and back toward clinical vigilance. True longevity in your senior years doesn't come from following a headline. It comes from honoring the hard chemistry of the body you live in today. Now, here is your clinical assignment. Starting tomorrow, pick just 3 of these methods: the fresh soak protocol, the medication buffer, and the hydration doubling, and test them for 7 days. Then come back to this video and leave a comment. Tell this community how your energy and your gut comfort have shifted. Your data is the proof that helps others take control of their own aging process. If this deep dive provided the clarity you've been searching for, please like this video and subscribe. We are building a movement that values physiological truth over marketing myths. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. Treat your body with the medical respect it has earned. I'll see you in the next video.